That's a delay. That's a delay. Okay, I should moderately be able to see comments, probably. No one's in here but me though. So we're just gonna record the episode and we'll have video. And that'll be awesome. And maybe in the future I'll turn this sideways. Oh well, it'll look good for TikTok. Oh, maybe you guys could hear that neck crack. All right, we're not gonna wait around. Hey, this is James from SurvivalPunk.com. Here with a live episode. I think I promised you guys in one episode I was going to try to do live episodes on my days off. Today's not a day off, but my schedule is fucked. I work 10 to 7 instead of 4 to 1. So instead of driving to work at, maybe I'll record 2 episodes. Instead of driving to work at 3:20 in the morning, I am driving to work at 9:20 in the morning. So I thought it'd be fun to go do a live instead of fuck around on the computer for a few hours because I can't sleep in. Um, if you get up at 2 in the morning every single day, and then one day you get to sleep in, I slept until 4 today. So yeah, today we're talking about bushcraft survival. And we're back. If you are on the audio, so I'm recording this YouTube live to a whopping no viewers yet. But this is also going to be a podcast episode that'll come out in a few days. So today is Saturday. Saturday, I don't even record a pod. I don't even publish a podcast. This will come out in a few days, and there's that. So let's get into it. I got a couple of notes, which is nice. Being able to have notes instead of having to only rely on my mind when you when you are driving and it's dark, there are no notes. You cannot look at notes. Why bushcraft still matters. So I feel like there are two main approaches to survival. There's low tech primitive, and then there's high tech survival. Both have their places, and I'm not more bullish on one or the other. I think to be a good prepper slash survivalist, you absolutely have to have both. You have to have your primitive skills, your maybe not even primitive. You have to have more of your low tech skills as well as your high tech skills. Neglecting one or the other for bullshit reasons is stupid. If you're like, there are too many people that go all in on one or the other. And I feel like you're leaving things on the table if you do that. If you're all in on the primitive stuff, you're neglecting modern tools. You know what? If you are the asshole that's like, I don't want anything to do with GPS because there is a possibility at some point, for some reason in the future, they might not work. So, a lot of things could break in the future, but a lot of things probably won't break in the future. So, that's stupid. Also, the counterpoint to that is the person who only goes in on the modern stuff, and you're like, oh, I just use GPS. I can't get anywhere without GPS. My generation cannot read a fucking map to save their lives. They cannot orienteer. Um, and I mean, I get it. GPS is super convenient and really good and really spot on. Um, I have I have in the past gone places and people are like, "You're gonna struggle getting here. Like, it's a windy way. Like, you're not gonna be able to find it." And I'm like, "Just give me your fucking address." And I throw it in Google Maps, and Google Maps takes me there, and they're like, "Well, fuck." However, Google Maps does fuck up. Me and my wife and my daughter went recently with a realtor to go look at a house, and the GPS tried taking us to behind a Walmart. It was like, turn here now. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's going to go to a Walmart receiving dock. Um, it turned, it was fucking weird. You had to go down a road and it was like house, house. And in between, there was a driveway that went way back and there was a house up in there. We did like that aspect of that house. Um, it didn't work out. Um, but it was off of a fairly busy road, like a very busy road on the outskirts of Clarksville. If you're ex-military, you probably know Clarksville for Fort Campbell Army Base. And it was Needmore Street. So if you know Clarksville, you know Needmore Street. Very busy street. However, it was tucked like 400 feet off of the thing. It was wild. So the GPS fucked up on that. So if you are one of those all-in modern tech preppers, I think you need to diversify your portfolio here and go into some bushcraft stuff. Um, Next, um, bushcraft. What I mean by bushcraft. Let's kind of try to define this. Um, it is very primitive skills and generally building a lot of things in the wilderness. So a good great bushcrafter can go into the wilderness with their knife and build everything they need for survival. Cordage, um, furniture, shelter, everything. There are more tools to really build your ability to bushcraft, like a saw and a camp axe. They make things better, but you can do it with a knife. You can use a knife to build other tools. Technically, you can go into the woods with nothing and build those tools. However, getting nothing beats a fucking modern blade. I'm sorry. Yes, you can go in the woods and you can get rocks and you can build a primitive axe and a primitive knife and you can do this stuff. And maybe that's a fun thing and maybe you decide that that's the thing for you. You like that. Take a fucking knife, y'all. Um, that's like the main thing. Um, but it's an easy to gain entry to this world where a lot of fucking hobbies have such a high ticket to get in that it is super not worth it. Um, I know when I had to get camping gear for my family to go camping, because as a solo survivalist before I was married and had kids, my camping setup was pretty damn minimal. I didn't have a tent for a family. I had a Eureka Solo, Eureka Solitaire, and hammocks. Not a family setup. Basically, no comfort there whatsoever, except for a hammock. A hammock is luxury, the most comfort you could possibly have. So let's start getting into some of the bushcraft skills to work on and practice. Kind of like a top 5 list. Fire making. Mastering primitive fire is one of those things that's like, it's a real delineator, right? Like, you have people that can make primitive fire, and then there's everybody else. It's such a great division of people. And it's one of those, it can be a party trick. Um, However, primitive fire is a cruel mistress. It is not easy. It is not guaranteed. And you know what? Maybe our like cavemen ancestors had it down to such a fine degree that they're like, they knew it was going to happen. I haven't. Maybe that'd be worth watching documentaries on modern primitive people to see if they struggle, but also I don't know if they're filming that aspect of, like, that's what I want to see. I want to see them making fire, and if it doesn't work out, and what they're doing to ensure that it does. Because if you need a fire in survival, then you need a fire. And out there for, like, you guys watch Naked and Afraid? Me and my wife do. Although maybe I want to record an episode on this last episode of Last One Standing. There was some jank ass shit going on, and we were not happy about it. Possibly, like, I feel like if you watch any kind of television, you know there is a portion. You know there are things that are fabricated to make good TV. You know that. You know that everything's not exactly the way it is, but it's like, what level of bullshittery is it? In this case, I think there was some severe shenanigans going on, and I didn't like it. I did like the outcome. I did like the person that won, Darren, what me and wife call the Rat King. I did like him winning. He is a good, solid survivalist. He deserved to win. There were shenanigans, though. Anyway, um, being a person that can make primitive fire is a good skill to have. It's one of those things where it's like, it's a good thing to learn and practice, but carry a bic. I'm sorry. You know what? I have made and practiced primitive fire, and it is not easy. And I I prefer the hand drill. I'm a hand drill person. Um, I can get it going with a hand drill. The bow drill just is clunky to me, and the movement doesn't feel natural. I've never had good luck with a bow drill. Um, it's just not. I just can't do it. The caveat with hand drill is you have a finite number of times of making the hand drill before you blow your hands out. Like, there's a point where if you're real close, you can keep going, knowing you're savaging your hands. Like, you're gonna have bliss. Like, they're gonna be fucked up. In a true survival situation, that is not good. You do not want entry points for infection on your skin. Ask me how I know. So the other side is, with the bow drill, you're not destroying your skin layer. You are gonna severely get a good workout. Your muscles are gonna be sore, so it's a good thing. With that, those are like the number one. Like, if you want to learn bushcraft, I would say primitive fire making, number one thing on the list. There's other fun things, and we'll get to that. Bow drills, even a ferro rod can be considered primitive fire because it is not a lighter. So with that, there's Sketchtail Mike. With that, you can't practice a ferro rod, especially like last summer. My wife got real into using the ferro rod with gathered material, and she finally got it. Like she was able to process the material and get a fire from the ferro rod with no pre-made tinder. So that's a good thing, and she was very proud of it. Um, char cloth. Oh yeah. The other thing is gathering your materials. So the real world isn't your controlled situation. If you're gathering materials from the wilderness, you have to deal with what the wilderness has and find ways to find dry material. The underside things, standing deadwoods, um, processing to the inner parts of the tree is fantastic. Um, if you have standing deadwood and it's rained and everything is wet all around, unless that standing deadwood has soaked through and through, and it probably hasn't because standing deadwood, it doesn't. If you're laying on the ground, it probably has soaked through and through. If it's standing, you can probably find dry material on the inside of it. So that's a trick. Let's move on. Next would be shelter. Bushcraft shelter is the next thing to work on. We talked about this, I think, recently, maybe twice. We had a whole episode on shelter building, so that was a good episode. We had an episode on weekend skills, and I think going out and knocking out a primitive shelter on a weekend skill is a good fun thing to do, especially with kids. Um, you can get your kids out there and knock out like a little primitive shelter, and they will fucking love it. Um, debris huts, lean-tos, tarp tricks. Yes, I, you kind of fight back and forth, right? Like, are tarps primitive or modern? I'm gonna give tarps to the bushcrafters, right? Like they can have it. Prioritizing insulation over structure. You don't want something that's going to collapse and kill you. However, this is what I mean. When building a lean-to, you don't need to make it huge. You don't need to be able to sit up in the lean-to. You want the lean-to to keep you nice and warm. So having it just barely big enough to fit you inside of it, so you kind of squish in and sleep, is going to offer the highest insulative value to keep you warm. Especially in the winter. In the summertime, you might actually want to build something. Honestly, in the summertime, my bigger concern would be off the ground. I would want to build a sleeping system that is not on the ground. And there are absolutely like bushcraft wood bed frames and stuff you can build. And that's great. But and proper airflow, right? Like, so yes, I said you want it to be small and touch you. I built a little lean-to, and it was more in the summer, and it was hot. It was super hot, especially with my sleep system. And I had um, a real light sleep sack, and it was still too fucking hot, and I burned out, and it was terrible. And I got a bug bite, and the bug bite got infected. It was terrible. So build it off the ground and get proper airflow. Finding water and making it safe. We just did a whole episode on this. If you haven't checked it out, do check it out. The Finding Water episode was fantastic. Oh yeah, we're at 20 minutes. We're coming along pretty good. Natural indicator for water, terrain, plants, animal signs. This I covered in the Finding Water episode. Do check it out. It is a whole episode on just this topic. Terrain and animal track are the best. If you one learning to track animals is absolutely a bushcraft survival skill. If you do that, if you find animal tracks, they will either go to a shelter or they will go to an eating place, but probably a water hole. If you find a bunch of animal tracks all going to the same place, you find a typical animal road pathway they take all the time, it's going to probably lead to a water source. So that is a trick. Absolutely. How to dig a seep well. Don't ever use a solar steel. Do harvest foliage. So if you get a trash bag and you put it around a bunch of leaves and bushes and stuff, it will condensate and lean in there. And that is a tiny amount of work versus digging a solar steel, which is a massive amount of work. Filtering and boiling. I don't want to go super long on this topic because I did just do a whole fucking episode and we're at 22 minutes. So, but it's obviously I did it for a whole episode. It's a good skill to have and to work on and to practice and fun, right? You go out the woods with your kids and you're like, hey, let's see if we can find water. You go somewhere that you haven't been and you try to find water. Tools and improvised gear. The big three: knife, hatchet, saw. That's how we began the episode. You can't make a knife really well. You can make a knife, but it's going to suck. And you can make an axe, but it's going to suck. And I guess you could make a saw. I guess, but it's going to suck. So if you want to start in bushcraft, those three tools should do you well. So if you start with a knife, you can definitely start building stuff. Here's another big one. Maybe the bushcraft skill that I want to go work on more than any other bushcraft skill right now is natural cordage making. Because natural cordage is one of the most useful bushcraft skills and like the hardest. So if you ranked tools based on their ability to be remade, like you can make a knife in the wilderness, it will suck. So that's why I say you should take the knife. You should have a knife because the knife that you bring with you will outperform anything you can build in nature easily. That's not counting if you find a fucking piece of leaf steel and you forge it into a knife in the wilderness. The one you buy is probably still gonna be better. I'm just saying, it can be done. I have seen videos. Ron Hood went in the woods and made a fucking knife out of like found materials, and it was a good knife. He did go spend time with knife makers and learn the skills. Like, so if that's something you want to do, that's a fun project, and you can do that. Making cordage is another one of those like hard to get things in nature. So if you bring cordage, that's great. However, the ability to make cordage, like, it's another one of those linear things, right? Like, there are people that can make cordage and people that can't make cordage. And it's kind of a wow factor too. Like, if you're like, hey, here's some cordage that I made from tree bark, people are like, what the fuck, dude? You made a rope? Blows their mind. And the use, so also that it's not terribly physically hard to make cordage versus the usefulness. So natural cordage isn't always as good, but it is pretty damn good and pretty damn easy. So I feel like that's got a high value, right? So like, you're not busting your ass. You're mostly just kind of sitting on the ground and twisting shit versus the usefulness that you get from that. That's why I place it as such a high skill to have, right? Um, Next, work on your carving skills, carving, shaping, crafting. Um, just learning those carving skills will give you a lot of bushcraft stems from your ability to use your knife to carve things, from traps to notches to build benches and tripods and all sorts of shit. You got to learn how to use your knife. Keep your knife sharp. Learn how to use it to do the different bushcraft cuts. There's different ways to hold the knife. There's different ways to do your carving notches and stuff. Work on that skill. Foraging and primitive food. Um, Learning edible plants is a fantastic bushcraft skill to develop, and we have whole episodes on this where we talk about the top plants and we talk about why you should learn the plants around you. And I feel like you should learn the plants around you. Learning that somewhere else they have a plant doesn't make sense. I feel like anytime you're doing wild edibles, you need to start with your own backyard and move out from there. There are probably a shit ton of things growing in and around your yard that you don't know what the fuck they are. What's that? I don't know. Um, I found out my yard is fantastic for growing plantain. I have a shit ton of it. And ragweed. I have a shit ton of it. The people around here are like, oh, my allergies are so bad. Well, we're a ragweed farm. It also makes me wonder, I've never looked, is there anything useful about ragweed? Does it have a medicinal use? Everything has a use. So I don't know. Traps. I've built a couple bushcraft traps. It's one of those things where you probably need to refresh it. I built a figure 4 deadfall trap, and I have built a bird trap, bunch of sticks stacked into like a pyramid, and it falls on a bird. I've built one of those. So those are the two main ones I built, and there's more that I want to learn. From watching Naked and Afraid, I learned about the fish trap, and I have not made one of those, but it is on my bucket list of things to build. Nobody has come into this live stream yet. You jackasses. Anyway, I am only live streaming on YouTube, and I'll have video to put on TikTok, so that's good. A lot of times when I post my podcast on TikTok, it's a static image, and I feel like maybe my face would get more clicks. I don't know. Um, Building fishing primitively is another good skill to have. Um, Making primitive fish hooks, making a primitive fishing rod. You don't need the fanciest rod. Like you can catch fish with, I mean, a little more than throwing the line out there and pulling it back. Um, you know what? We're gonna cover one more thing, and then we're gonna close up. We're right at the time limit that we run episodes anyway. Mental toughness and minimalism. Minimalism. Um, Bushcraft teaches discomfort. And discomfort is something that I've been covering a good deal recently. I feel like in the modern world we are too fucking comfortable, and we need to practice discomfort a bit more. You will gain mental resiliency. You will gain the ability to deal with shit. You improve yourself 1,000-fold by just being more mentally tough, and practicing embracing discomfort is how you can do that. So go out there and embrace the suck. Um, Teaches the value of doing more with less. Like I said, you can go start doing this with just a knife. Yes, an axe will make things easier. And yes, a saw will make things easier. And yes, bringing your own courage will make things easier. But you just need a knife. There is basically nothing in bushcraft you can't do without just starting a knife. Yes, it's more work, but you can start with a knife. Um, so that's it. We're gonna wrap things up. My outline included things like this isn't LARPing; it's ancestral knowledge. Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of LARPing going on out there, right? Like there's a lot of kids that is it Gen Z or Gen Alpha? No, not Alpha. It's Gen Z, especially the younger Gen Z. They don't have any purpose in life. They just they're just kind of there, right? Like there's nothing big happening. There's no great call to action in their lives. They just don't have anything. So they make up shit. They make up um, Nazis are everywhere and they need to go fight them. They make up random bullshit and they LARP through life because they can't find purpose. I equate it to the Great Heroes Quest, right? They don't have a dragon to go slay. They're just there without their dragon to slay. So they have to invent their dragon. But the dragon is out there. The dragon is out there. Dragon is taking life by the balls and getting what you want from it. So that's what they need to do. And I really feel like, and I've talked about this, that the next generation, Gen Alpha, they're savage little motherfuckers. They are going to take life by the balls and make it their bitch. They are going to be so fucking rude and envelope pushing. Sam Kinison will blush in his fucking grave. So watch out for that. Gen X will be like, damn, y'all need to like chill the fuck out. That's the way the pendulum's going to swing here. I feel like Gen X was super fucking, yeah, Gen X. I don't even like, they were rude. They pushed the envelope. They were slackers and they didn't care. And they weren't getting caught up in your bullshit. Millennials fucked everything up. They went from the most unoffended and offensive generation to the most offended, except for possibly Gen Z. Gen Z might be incredibly, undeniably offended by every fucking thing in the whole fucking universe. Gen Alpha's not. Gen Alpha will be unoffendable. And they will be so fucking offensive, it will be insane. And that's it. That's all I got. If you like this episode, do consider joining the Survival Punk Army, which you can do for as low as $5 a month or as much as $50 per year, where your main benefit is you get exclusive discount to vendors. You get ebooks and you get the episodes that you can download zip files. Next, you can join on Patreon for as low as $1 a month or as much as $5 a month, where your main benefit is you get the episode 1 day early. Next, if you go to survivalpunk.com, you click on any of the episodes, there'll be an Amazon item of the day. If you buy that, I make a few pennies. You don't pay anything extra, and everybody is happy. And lastly, do consider sharing the show wherever you're hanging out online. If you're on YouTube, hit me with a like and subscribe, and that helps the show a lot. With that, this has been James from survivalpunk.com. DIY to survive, you guys.